continue now with a panel focused on how to communicate sustainability with different approaches. We have first, I will introduce our communication, but we have also Songyi Yan, Claudia Henninger, and Selina Jones from the University of Manchester. They are going to talk about the problem with microfiber pollution and how to engage consumers in a more sustainable practices. And then the third communication will tackle another problem with sustainability, that is traceability. How to communicate with transparency from the brands to consumers, the full traceability. So probably this first and the third communication will have some points in contact because they are going to speak about a luxury French brand and how it connects with their consumers. And in the first presentation, we are going to talk about four groups. One of them, well, two of them French luxury groups. So probably there will be some connection. So well, let's start. And the idea would be to have about 15-20 minutes each presentation, and then after each presentation you can do whatever question that you want. Okay, so well, I'm going to share my screen. So this is a research we took from April 2000. Well, from April to September this year, and the idea is to talk about how the websites, the fashion brands' websites, can act as potential channel to educate sustainable consumers. We are a group of researchers from the University of Navarra in Spain, and the four of us work by ISEM, Fashion Business School, that is located in Madrid. And I'm teaching also in the design degree, and Patricia, Teresa, and Pedro Mir also teach at the communication school of the university. So this is a variated team. And well, the idea is to show our results of this presentation, of this research. And if you want to go deeper, we have published the results in this last number of sustainability. It's open access, so you can access without problem. And it was we were doing at the same time the work for this conference and the work for this article, so they have coincided in time. So the agenda for today is to talk about a small introduction about fashion and sustainability and how to communicate them. Then the methodology we have used for this research, and then to talk about the sample of the study for big fashion groups, what means 32 brands, the results and discussions, and finally the conclusion. This is one of the pictures of our building in Madrid. So you are invited, of course, if you want to come here to whatever. So this research aims to study the communication process relating to the sustainable strategy of companies, ranging from the corporate website to e-commerce. And the idea is to address the possible discrepancy that exists between what they communicate in these two channels. And the idea was to understand why there are so many differences between these two different levels. Because sustainability now as a corporate assess is always studied and always communicated to all the stakeholders. And it seems not to be the same when we are down going to the brands. And the brands, the e-commerce websites are increasing their importance because of the possible effects of the COVID pandemic that has increased the number of e-commerce sales. And on the other hand, because the commercial websites have increased, not on the other hand, but moreover, have increased in importance, and also have increased in performance, activities, utilities. The 4 groups we have analyzed are Inditex and H&M, and in the luxury groups, Kering and LVMH. We have 5 hypotheses that we are going to research and to prove or not prove with our study. So the first one is that in this decade, in the 20s, sustainability has become a key business factor regarding the success of fashion companies. I think it's a hypothesis that probably we all know the answer. The second one would be if both luxury and fast fashion are equally interested in the communication of sustainability. This is an hypothesis that has emerged because we have read a lot of different approaches, and there are many communications, even here from Claudia, Henninger, and others, arguing that luxury would be sustainable per se. Others claims the contrary, that luxury is not. They don't need to communicate sustainability, and probably is more related to greenwashing when they do this. Well, so it was okay. We need to understand if these 2 kind of groups, fashion groups, are equally interested or not. Then fashion companies, the third hypothesis would be if fashion companies and the fashion industry have an active communication strategy for sustainability. So they are doing many things, but at the same time, if they are communicating those actions and practices. The fourth hypothesis would be if the sustainability communication of groups is different to that of brands, probably because they are focused on different stakeholders. Let's say we want to prove or not to prove this hypothesis. Normally we think of all the stakeholders when we think of the groups, and focusing on consumers when we are thinking of brands. And finally, if the communication of sustainability is related to stimulate purchasing or more related to greenwashing practice. With these 5 hypotheses, we have this research question. Can fashion brands' websites be a potential channel to educate sustainable consumers? So, well, the methodology to do this study has to do with the model of Ciano and other researchers for evaluating corporate websites. It was a model developed in 2016, published also in sustainability, and it was for us, after reviewing the literature in this topic, we thought that it was the perfect model for evaluating sustainability. It was the most complete model. But as it was developed 5 years ago, it was necessary to update it in order to, in 2 directions. One of these would be to update it because technology websites have evolved a lot, and the other would be that it's necessary to adapt it to the fashion companies, because this is a very general model. And it has been the model of Ciano has been proved with good results, mainly in energy companies. So the idea was to review, to update the model for the fashion industry, even to take some other dimensions and items from other studies, from Haute, from Strelle, from DAC, and to add the consumer perspective, the consumer involvement in this study. And after developing the model for corporate websites, we have a new version for e-commerce, for brands. So the initial model of Ciano has 4 dimensions. It is a model only to evaluate websites. It had 4 dimensions: orientation, structure, ergonomics, and content. And with these meanings, orientation is a strategic approach that defines the core elements of the corporate identity. at that moment, it was related more to mission and vision of the company. Then the structure consists of a set of organizational tools and aspects, and that support the credibility of the information. The ergonomics is related to the how to manage the website, the ability to ensure that it's navigability and navigable and very accessible to people, and then the content. And from this initial model, we have evolved following the same dimensions. But we have moved from mission and vision of the company that it was very used 5 years ago. We have gone to about us, sustainability section, microsite. Now, normally there are microsites and a specific section related to sustainability. The structure is almost the same, but we have added some items. Ergonomics is almost the same, but we have added some digital innovations, as the web pages are evolving, we have added more. At the content, we have added 5 sub-dimensions to the initial model with new items, more than 20, and we have included here the consumer involvement analysis. So we have moved from 4 dimensions, 18 sub-dimensions, and 64 items from the model of Ciano to 4 dimensions, 23 sub-dimensions, and 96 items. I put here the name Ciano et al. And San Miguel et al. Following the names of the publications in these journals. So we have developed, our team at ISEM have developed this operational model for evaluating fashion comparative websites, updating the Ciano model, and another revision for evaluating fashion e-commerce. So we have the 2 different models from the corporate websites and for the brands websites. This is an example of how the model works. We have analyzed every web page with these dimensions, orientation, structure, orientations. Here for the corporate websites has 9 items, and we have put sub-dimension about us and sustainability web section. And the items are explicit references to environmental sustainability, explicit references to people. In the sustainability section, more or less the same. How the management of the company is involved, if the most important sustainability challenges are mentioned. So we have put in the author reference, we have put here the model of Ciano, the model of Strele, the model of Oft. So we have put, and the items we have added at this model. So we have orientation, we have structure, stakeholder engagement tools, the comparison of sustainability, how the model is organized, and we have how many website sections dedicated to stakeholder groups, typical elements in sections dedicated to investors. Well, the idea is to have a lot of questions about how the sustainability is showed on the web page. I'll continue with some items from ergonomics, accessibility, navigability, usability, and clearly labeled indexes, home button setting accessibility, tools of navigation and search by default, page loading, easy navigation, so many things. When we go to the content, we need, before continue with the structure, we have interactivity, multimedia, and when we go to the content, we have if the website show initiatives of corporate sustainability, if they have clarity, authenticity, accuracy, visibility. So these are all the items. It's only to have an idea of how many they are. And here we have added this consumer involvement if there is a specific information on product origin and traceability, this is always going to connect with the third session of the panel, visibility of information about the end-of-life process. So with this quantity of items for the brands there are 99 and for the corporate sites there are 96 items, we have measured the effectiveness of communication. So for each item, we put 1 if there was okay, and we put 0 if there was not any performance. And this is the range of grading, the range of measure the effectiveness. So more than 80 is excellent compliance with sustainability communication requisites. Less than 80, but more than 70 is like a satisfactory way. Less than this is acceptable compliance if it performs more than 60% 60 items from this 99 or 96. Then if we go down, we see some weaknesses or poor compliance in case they fulfill less than 50% of the items. So with this criteria, we go to the sample of our research. We analyzed first of all, the web pages of these 4 groups, HMA, Inditex, Kerinal, and LVMH, and we put these big numbers regarding the revenues, the number of employees, the number of clothing lines. We have discarded the brands that some of these groups have in textiles, in home textiles, or more interiors, or even those related to fashion, but eyewears or clothing, watches, wine, spirits. So we have put only this number focused on garments and accessories. So as you can see, they are the big one, the biggest in Europe, of course, in terms of revenue. So first of all, when we analyze the brands, when we analyze, the web pages, we realized that although all the companies, the corporate groups have a very good section of sustainability, when we go to the brands, we realize that in fast fashion, even all of them, nearly all of them have a specific section of sustainability. But when we go to the luxury groups, at least, only a small part. So this is one of the first questions we realized when analyzing these 36 web pages, because we analyzed the 4 of the groups and the 32 of these different groups. So the results, when we go to the results, we have put a number of 100, like a total evaluation, and for each item, we have the proportional parties. Say, from the 9 items for the section of orientation, we can obtain until 937 points, and even the same in all the segments. So as we can see in the part of orientation, all the groups have a good performance, excellent performance. It means that all of them fulfill all the requirements of orientation. When we go to the structure, there are some differences because they have added some content in different ways. But anyway, all of the 4 groups rank very well. When we go to the ergonomics part of the website, here we have more differences, and it has to do with the appliance, with how to navigate in the web page, how to move, how to connect with different links. So it's not directly connected to sustainability, but it implies a good or better performance or bad performance, depends. And we go to the content. The content has the bigger number of items. So here we have in all of the groups the worst performance. That means none of them reaches the highest grade. And at the same time, we have here many differences. So being Inditex the worst in terms of content, and H&M being the best in terms of content. But anyway, the final puntuation is about 80 or 76, the minimum. So we have two groups excellent that are communicating excellent according to this frame, or Ciano and our group, and two groups grading satisfactory because they are very close to this 80 point. When we go to the e-commerce websites, if we analyze the 14 fashion brands coming from fast fashion, we have put first the 7 from the H&M group, H&M, COS, Weekday, Monkey, I Found, and Other Stories, and Arcade. We can see here different gradings. None of them achieves the best puntuation in orientation. None of them achieves the best in structure. That would be probably the worst evaluated. In ergonomics, some of them are very useful, like, well, Zara, Pull&Bear, H&M, even Bershka. And the content, we have a lot of room to improve, although Monkey performs very well. Monkey and H&M from the H&M groups perform very well. So we have here the puntuation, the final puntuation for these 14 fashion brands. So we have no excellent, no satisfactory, but 2 acceptable, 6 with some weaknesses, and 6 with poor compliance. When we go to the luxury brands, the results are completely different. We have here, we can observe a very differences between the brands, because many of them have no section of sustainability or no information about sustainability. This is for Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, Alexander McQueen, Moynat, from the, Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, and Brioni from the Kering group. Alexander McQueen from the Kering group, and Moynat, Berluti, Loro Piana, Celine, Christian Dior, Emilio Pucci, Givenchy, and Kenzo from the LVMH. Well, we need to say that during our study, we found differences between the web pages in April and the web pages at the end of August, at the end of our research. So maybe at that time they have added some information, and we finished the study at the end of August. But it's constantly changing because some webs add new content, new sections, new details, new elements. So this is like the snapshot at the end of August. And if we go to the grading, we have no excellent, but Gucci is very close to the excellence because it's in a good place, but with satisfactory communication to the consumers. We have 1 acceptable, Yves Saint Laurent, both of them from the Kering group, and we have only 1 acceptable, and we have 2 with some weaknesses, that would be Louis Vuitton and Fendi, and finally 14 with poor compliance, that is, they account only for the less than half of the items that we have evaluated, and 11 of them with no actions in sustainability, with nothing at all. So when we want to discuss these results, we can say that regarding the company groups, H&M and Kering are the ones with the highest score, both achieving the same 80. So they are excellent in how they communicate according to this study. And analyzing these 4 groups, the results show that in relation to the corporate websites, they perform very well. And it's more or less the same both in the case of luxury groups or in the case of fast fashion. LVMH is reaching 80 points. Inditex is a bit lower, but with good performance anyway. And the content dimension would be the one that has more room for improvement in these four. So maybe to go for the 80% to the 100% content would be the section more interesting to act on. When we go to the brands, going to the groups of fast fashion, H&M performs very well in Monkey. Monkey is the brand with the better performance in fast fashion. And the worst would be, for this group, would be another stories, and a found. A found has no section on sustainability, has no information at this point. And the average score for the H&M group brands is 50 points if we consider the brands that have a sustainability section, or 42% if we include a found with 0 points. If we go to Inditex, the best brands in terms of scoring would be Zara, Massimo Dutti, and Stradivarius. We can see for Inditex group that there are very similar web pages, very similar content, although they have each one has their personality. They have similar standards, so this is why they achieve the best performance as a group in our sample, because all of them have any section, although Uterque is the worst brand. Uterque, as you know, is not going to continue as a brand from the Inditex group anymore. So the products they are going to be sold by Massimo Dutti under the stores of Massimo Dutti. If we go to the brands, the luxury brands for these groups, the average score for Kering is 54, is more than H&M and Inditex. If we consider only the 3 brands that have a sustainability section, but if we consider the 6 brands, the score falls because some of them have any information about it. Gucci is the best performer. The webpage of the section of sustainability of Gucci is amazing in terms of this kind of analysis, but it's not translated to the rest of the group. And we'll move to LVMH. The brand with the best sustainability communication is Louis Vuitton. It's almost the same as the average score for the Kering group. And the worst is Marc Jacobs, but they have many brands that have no information. So if we consider all the brands as a group, the score for the LVMH group would be 3. So it would be the worst in terms of communication sustainability. So if we go again to our hypothesis, we can go directly to our conclusions, because I think I'm running out of time. So sustainability has become a key business factor regarding the success of fashion companies. We can say yes, explicit yes, because the research have resolved that there are still many improvements, but all the groups, all the corporate websites have a lot, and many of the companies, many of the brands have a lot of information about sustainability. The second hypothesis, both luxury and fast fashion are equally interested in the communication of sustainability. Here there is a great symmetry in terms of the number of brands who have a section on sustainability. So 13 out of 14 in fast fashion and only 7 out of 18 in luxury fashion. So this hypothesis is not confirmed. So they are not equally interested, according to the study, of course. Our third hypothesis, fashion companies and the fashion industry have an active communication strategy for sustainability. At the theoretical level, it seems that they are equally interested in the communication and pursue active sustainability communication strategies. But here we can say that there are 2 different communication strategies. like of the group and like of the branch. So they do not always perform at the same time. Because only 24 or 36 websites have active communication regarding sustainability, we can say that this hypothesis is only partially confirmed. Going to the fourth, the sustainability communication on groups is different to that of brands because the websites are focused on different stakeholders. The entire range of stakeholders, providers, investors, society, and all the groups, or only the consumers when we go to brands. And we can say that, yes, corporate websites are more focused on all the stakeholders, and e-commerce is more focused on consumers, but normally going to help them to consume. And the idea is if there is some inconsistency because many e-commerce websites don't have any section related to sustainability. So the group effort in this corporate communication doesn't ensure that all of its brands have a good sustainability strategy and a good sustainability communication strategy. So this asymmetry could be viewed as greenwashing at the corporate level, or mainly, and this is what we suppose, that they are addressing different stakeholders, and each brand has liberty, has freedom to act as they prefer in these web pages. And finally, the communication of details, of specific details of sustainability is aimed to stimulate sustainable purchasing or linked to greenwashing practice. So here we have that these two different aspects. In some points, we think that they are connected to sustainable purchasing, like in the case of H&M brand, that shows the H&M brand, not only as a group but as a brand, they show the full traceability from the products when you buy online, country, factory, number of people working for this factory. And in some other web pages, sometimes more related to luxury groups, they can do like greenwashing practices because they only label some adjectives like eco, sustainable, but they don't provide any further information to make conscious decisions when you are buying. So, reaching the end, if we need to ask this question, can fashion brands' websites be a potential channel to educate sustainable consumer? Well, we can state that they must continue to improve the communication strategies. So the answer will be yes, but not yet. They have enormous potential. They have many followers. They have all the tools to do it, as they have in the corporate website, but they are not taking advantage at this moment of these possibilities. So it would be the answer. Yes, but not yet. So thank you so much. This is you have here my mail. So I don't know if you have any question or.
Hello. Yes, please. I have a question. Very interesting. So I was wondering, when you're talking about e-commerce sustainability section, do you mean that there is a specific range, or there is just a tab on the website that is not related to products?
Yeah, exactly. There are these two options. For us, would be okay only if there is a tag in the web page, or of course, if they have more information when you click on the product, the better. But only if they have any section or any aspect, not in the home, but in the middle of whatever section, it would be okay. it would be okay for do this analysis, but some of the brands don't have neither this sustainability tag in the web page.
Okay, thank you. I have a second question if I have time.
Yes, of course.
Regarding sustainable purchasing for luxury goods, I don't know what's the part of online shopping for luxury goods for LVMH or Kering, because, well, I don't think it's comparable to Zara and H&M maybe. Like in the last years, H&M and Zara had a great boom in their online shopping, but maybe LVMH and Kering, it's a bit different. Do you think educating the consumer for this kind of products for luxury goods is possible in store? Because maybe it's possible to educate the consumer in store when you tell the story of how it is made and everything. Do you think it's not more, well, it's easier to do that?
Yeah, yes, you're right. Probably the best option would be to do it at store. It is another research that we are taking at the moment.
Okay.
No, it's great. Okay. But we have reviewing the literature and asking people, we have realized that sometimes people at the store is not committed even. So they need to have more training regarding these aspects. And what we have discovered here is that even at the level of the brand, what you are going to communicate as a brand, you don't consider sustainability as a brand, is more difficult that your employees are considering it as something important or valuable in order to like a value of the brand. But yeah, we have room to improve and to continue doing research. So thank you so much.
Sure. From my experience at Hermes, what that is comparable to maybe LVMH or Kering, all the salesperson, they have like a 1 week training at the head office, and they tell them how things are made. And so everybody in store, even in grand magasin, in Corte Inglés or in Galeries Lafayette, or they even people there, they have this kind of training.
Oh, so nice. So we need to continue doing the steps in this direction. Okay.
Thank you.
So, any question, or maybe maybe we could continue with the following presentation.
So, hi everyone. I'm Songyi. I'm a lecturer in fashion management at the University of Manchester. And today with me, we also have Dr. Claudia Hellinger and Dr. Selena Jones here. And we will be very happy to answer any questions after the presentation. So here's just a little brief introduction of our interdisciplinary research team. Three of us, we all have a research interest in sustainability in fashion industry. And me and Claudia, our research mainly focuses on consumer behavior, consumption behavior, and marketing research. And Selena's research mainly focused on raw material and tech from the textile engineering level. So today I'm going to introduce first what is microfiber pollution, and move to our previous research on this topic. And finally, I'm going to present the current research we are doing. So what is microfiber pollution? So microfiber pollution has frequently appeared on news headline and has become one of the most pressing environmental issues. So this this research context, the topic has been chosen purposively, not just because of the increased media attention, but also because it concerns everyone and in our everyday life. So just give you more detail about the issue. So when microfibers, it can be referred into two different contexts. The first one is in the textile manufacturing context. You may see those type of very small and very precise fiber used in the functional wear. And another context is being referred in the environmental pollution context, which is the focus of this research. So when microfiber is referred as pollutant, it implies a thread-like pieces measuring less than 5 millimeters in size, and it can be further divided into 3 different categories: the natural microfibers, regenerated cellulosic microfibers, and synthetic microfibers. And currently, synthetic microfibers are the main research focus, and the media's interest also focus on synthetic microfibers. It might due to these microfibers are closely linked to the microplastic pollution and are associated with the petroleum-based raw material that took centuries to biodegrade, if at all. So here's one of the key pathway of the microfiber pollution. I mentioned earlier this is an issue concern everyone in our everyday life. It is because a majority of our garments contain synthetic fiber, and by wearing those garments and doing laundry of this garment, the synthetic microfiber can be released in the wastewater and end up in the ocean. And this microfiber can absorb harmful additives, and also marine animals can mistake them, and eventually human beings will probably will have a negative impact on our human being health. So I started my research on microfiber pollution from a social science perspective back in 2018 for my PhD research. So the research gaps around this topic include the past research mainly focused on source pathway of the synthetic microfibers, textile engineering, and domestic washing methods. And even though there are potential solutions including commercial and non-commercial solutions exist to tackle this issue. However, a majority of research mainly focused on testing the effectiveness of these solutions from a science and technical perspective. However, there's the need for research to investigate this issue from a social science perspective, to explore what consumer knows and what's their perception towards this issue. So I firstly conducted a qualitative research with 14 to interview 14 industry experts to explore how microfiber pollution is defined from an industry perspective and what challenges and or solutions are associated with it. And this study has been published as a book chapter. And here's a conceptual model derived from our finding. It shows how experts define microfiber pollution and its key challenges. So from this figure, you can see microfiber pollution is seen from two different perspectives. So from the first instance, it is seen as pollution, as the problem that stems from the synthetic microfiber. As I explained before, since synthetic microfiber are closely linked to microplastic pollution and are associated with a petroleum-based raw material that took centuries to biodegrade. So it is considered more or less a pollution as a problem. And An alternative perspective is considering challenge that's associated with natural microfibers and regenerated cellulosic microfibers. Although these two types of fabric, they can shed microfiber as well. However, they seem easier to biodegrade. As such, it is considered as less of a problem. However, there are challenges associated with these two types of microfiber because of the chemical toxic additives used on this garment, like coating, like dyes used on the garment. They may have the impact on their biodegradability. So here's an distinctive perception regards to what is considered as a problem and what is considered to be a challenge. Then I conducted another study to explore what types of sustainable knowledge and what source of sustainable knowledge that fashion consumers have addressing microfiber pollution issue. And here's a conceptual framework derived from this qualitative study. And this figure shows there are different types of knowledge that are required to be available in order to be able to effectively communicate in the issue of microfiber pollution. So as you can see here, the consumer can gain social knowledge from consumer-dominated and public source, and can gain consumer knowledge from using or searching those products. And gain those knowledge can further motivate consumer to learn more factual knowledge, such as environmental knowledge and declarative knowledge. However, in order to have a potential behavior change, procedure knowledge that tells how to options need to be available. And there's another type of knowledge, which is effectiveness knowledge, concerns benefit and cost ratio. That this type of knowledge can act as barrier before all this gained knowledge eventually translate into procedure knowledge. So, building on our previous research on microfiber pollution, as the last past research indicated that consumer awareness and knowledge addressing the issue and its associated solution are fairly low, and moreover, those potential solutions are not always implemented, since the required knowledge and information instructions may not be readily available and accessible to consumer. So we posed the first one of the key research questions for the current research. If key knowledge and solution are available and accessible, would the consumer be willing to purchase those mitigation solutions and be willing to learn about the issue of microfiber pollution? And moreover, there are previous studies suggested to adapt nudging to induce behavior change to tackle microfiber pollution issue, considering there are successful examples like using nudging to intervene consumer from buying shampoo include microbeads, or from buying a plastic bottle. So it is suggested to use nudging method to induce behavior change addressing the microfiber pollution issue. And there's the need for integrating nudging intervention research to sustainable fashion consumption and sustainable marketing research. So this gap lead us to the second research questions. Could consumers willing to purchase for mitigation solutions and willingness to learn be enhanced through nudging messages? So this research applies a mixed method by first conducting a qualitative research So I interviewed 15 fashion consumers to explore what their perceived barriers and motivations towards desired behavior addressing microfiber pollution. So those desired behavior include willingness to purchase for mitigation solution and willingness to learn about the issue. Also include the appropriate washing methods, like, for example, washing in cold water, use less detergent, and reduce consumption. And from this qualitative study, we aim to also conceptualize different intervention methods, different nudging messages to induce desired behaviors. So the first stage help to build and serve to our second stage study, which is a quantitative study. We will conduct online survey experiment, and the result will be obtained from a total of 4 groupings, 2 control groups and 2 that have nudging messages to either indicate willingness to purchase or willingness to learn. So by doing this quantitative research, we can answer the 2 key research questions we set at the beginning to examine difference in consumers' willingness to purchase and willingness to learn based on nudging messages. So here's one example that we will use in conducting online experiment. So we will create this online shopping page. On the left side, here's a page used for control group without nudging messages, and on the right side there's a condition for nudging group, includes the nudging messages, and the messages were used for quantitative are the results we have from the qualitative research. And this is still ongoing research, and we anticipate from a qualitative study, we will develop a framework including identified consumers' barriers and motivations towards desired behavior addressing the issue, and also relevant nudging methods that can leverage consumer engagement in those desired behaviors. And from the quantitative study, we anticipate the finding will provide insight on whether nudging messages can induce individuals to purchase those solutions or learn about the issue of microfiber pollution. Yeah, that's us for today. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Songyi. Amazing presentation. We need to learn a lot about how to.
Thank you so much.
Microplastics and microfiber pollution. The next presentation is Pantxica, the one who's going to do it. So, Pantxica, I leave the floor to you. So, when you want, we were waiting to your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm writing a thesis supervised by Jérémy Legardeur, Dimitri Masson, Cédric Belair at ESTIA Recherche, University of Bordeaux, within the Bali Share. This thesis is financed by the French government through the ANRT and the company Bellara Numérique, which develops a supply chain management tool dedicated to brands in the fashion and textile industry. The subject of my thesis is to help brands to communicate their CSR policy by informing the final consumer in a transparent way and by providing the relevant traceability data that is collected during the supply chain. Well, today, the paper I'm presenting you is about the informed consumer. We noticed in the last year that there is a big shift in consumer behavior that want to buy clothes according to his value, and we wanted to check what's happening in the fashion landscape, what information is available for informed consumer. So first, let's start with the informed consumer. So he wants to buy according to his value, You want to be sure that the clothes is buying is socially and environmentally okay to him, and where does this new behavior comes from? Well, we have three points on that. First, this awareness comes from the bad reputation of fast fashion that is producing twice the amount of clothing today than compared to year 2000. And that's why now it's one of the major industry polluting and responsible for a lot of pollution and waste at the end of the life of products. As well, we have all the textile industry dramas in the media, such as the Rana Plaza in 2013, the Uyghur cotton forced production, and many others. And I think, well, some consumers are really aware of that, and they don't want to give their money to companies that are working in this type of dramas. And as well, we had the COVID-19 crisis, and behavior are changing for like 2 years now. We can see really big changes. Well, there is a chosen deconsumption for some people. Well, this deconsumption is chosen for some, but it's as well because of some lack of money for some of them. And some studies say that 60% of consumers spend less during COVID crisis, and half of them expect to continue this way. They don't want to buy as many clothes as before, new clothes, I mean. And as well, there is a shift with second-hand clothing that is very big now. And we expect second-hand clothing to be bigger than fast fashion, maybe by 2028. But I think this number can be updated after COVID. Well, and as well, one big thing is online purchases that become well, really important, and they were really rising during the COVID crisis during the lockdown. So now, at the moment in the UK, clothing purchases represent 57%. This is huge. Well, in other countries in Europe, it's half of that. It's about 26, 22. So, but it's quite big, and specifically in big brands. Well, so when people buy online or in store, when they are this kind of informed consumer, where do they get their information? Because what I found really interesting is that a lot of people, they are making background they are making research before buying. So usually they find information more on the internet, from reviews, from articles, but this is really difficult to have a really clear information about products they are buying. And the numbers are quite big, like 52% of millennials always do research before buying. Well, this is a generation that is really connected, but when you see that 41% of baby boomers as well do that, like, it's a lot of people. It's almost one person and two. So what do they get as an information related to the products they are buying? Well, first, they get institutional transparency information. So, as a Fashion Revolution, as is a yearly report, Fashion Transparency Index, they can get an idea of how transparent is a brand. As well, Transparency Pledge Initiative is disclosing list of suppliers from brands. So they can have this information, as well mobile applications such as Good on You or the French one Clear Fashion, where you can have information about brand transparency. Well, and these are really corporate information. We selected this definition of transparency from Niklas Egelsenden. That is transparency as a disclosure of traceability information. I mean that traceability information is really a key point. Where things are made, where comes the fabric, where does come the raw materials, and all origin and steps in the making of a clothes has to be available. So usually this transparency is an institutional transparency. You can have supplier name on a list, maybe. You can have sustainability conditions in some reports, and you can have as well the purchasing practices. You can have an idea if they buy in advance, if they have a specific behavior with some countries, or if they have learning programs or such a thing like that. But well, institutional transparency, that doesn't tell you where the products you want to buy, where does it come from and how it has been made. It doesn't tell you if it's according to your values. So we chose to introduce a new notion that is product transparency. So this is product traceability information related to a specific product. So when you are facing a product and you want to purchase it, what information can you know about traceability? Most of the time, this is not compulsory in all countries. In France, it's not compulsory. The only thing that has to be on label is the composition. But well, in many countries, it's compulsory. So it's the country of manufacture, made in label. Made in label only means that the product the last step of production has been made in this country. So you don't know much. You don't know about material origin, about fabric mills, about any manufacturing or any social standard in the manufacturing process. You have no idea of transport or environmental footprint, so you don't know that much. So we wanted to check what can you find in store and online regarding product transparency. What is the state of the industry? So we made a study to evaluate the state of the industry regarding the product transparency. We conducted a study that covers a representative segment of the study, that is the Fashion Pact. Fashion Pact is a coalition that groups about 1/3 of the industry, and we thought that it was representative of fashion, but as well it represents committed brands in sustainable developments. So from the Fashion Pact, there are groups and there are brands. We selected one brand per groups when it was big groups, because otherwise it would be too much to do and really too complicated to study. So we picked 54 brands that were available to us, and we collected information online and in store. We looked at institutional transparency, but as well what we call product transparency. So first, This is institutional transparency. This is the main idea usually when talking about transparency. So you have a corporate social responsibility report, which can be standardized, but most of the time in textile industry, it doesn't follow any standard. So each group follow the ideas that are in this type of CSR report, but all the data, they are not standardized. So you cannot compare any brand to another, any group to another. And this is not compulsory. This is only for like big groups and big companies. So we check as well a list of suppliers and as well environmental and social commitments on website. Regarding product transparency, online and in-store, we checked if for all products we could see if there were all, some or none of the products with the mention of raw material origin, country of manufacture, supplier information, material certification, and environmental impact rating. As well, if the label was visible or not, like it depends on what information we have. Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's quite hidden. We checked as well if there was a technological support. I mean, mobile application, for example, at H&M, blockchain technology used for maybe guarantee connected screen in store, or if there is a QR code on the labels of products. We search as well for a specific range, if there was a specific range that was more detailed regarding sustainability or traceability, and any information we could find. As well, in store, we picked a piece of cloth, and we took a photograph of it, and we searched online for the same piece of cloth to see if there was the same amount of information specifically for country of manufacture. So what are the findings? Well, brand transparency first. So these brands, they really are committed, we think. 98% of them communicate about social and environmental commitments. Not all of them, but most of them, they produce a CSR report. This is maybe because this is not compulsory, and this is really a heavy work to do for smaller brands. Only 30% of them publish the list of their first-tier suppliers, like the Transparency Pledge, for example. And about product transparency, this is quite surprising. Well, 9% of brands, they don't display systematically made-in information in store. Like for a lot of, for many two brands, when you go to a store, you can have the made-in information, the country of manufacture information only in really a few items. So this is quite surprising. But what is more surprising is that online, where a lot and more people are buying clothes, 85% they don't display this kind of information. Well, systematically, like some of them it's only on a few items. When it's made in Europe, usually it's written somewhere, but otherwise it's not written. So this is quite surprising that such a big amount of companies, they don't explain the country of manufacture on their websites. So as well, 9%, only 9% of brands show environmental impact information. And this is usually on a really limited selection of products. And only 7% of brands have technological support to communicate, such as a mobile application, QR code, blockchain. So, as a conclusion of our findings, is overall very few traceability information is available. The most accurate information we have usually is 91% of brands is the country of manufacture in store. But online, there is very little traceability information. Usually this information is not available. Well, and the second finding is that the most transparent brands, they are using technology. They're using blockchain or mobile application or RFID to disclose manufacturing information. And we found really interesting initiatives. So let's talk about these interesting initiatives. For Armani Exchange and Moncler, you can see information by scanning a QR code on products. Well, it's only about it's only after purchasing the clothes that you can have information to authenticate it, and as well as a warranty for Moncler. So it doesn't tell you much about where the products come from and where it has been made and how, but well, it's a good start. Second interesting initiative is at ETAM, which is a French group, and H&M. So ETAM is not a mobile application, it's just that with your cell phone you can scan a QR code, and it gives you information about manufacturing conditions. And you can have access to videos as well of manufacturers while they are sewing clothes and from the first year manufacturer. At H&M as well, it's the same same information that you can find as well. ETAM the same, you can have as well online. So this is interesting. H&M, if you download the mobile application, you can scan the QR code and have the same information as online. So about the manufacturing process. Other interesting initiative is about environmental impact labeling. So in France, we have a national project about this type of labeling. It's a scoring from A to E that gives you an information about how your clothes is environmental friendly. So Decathlon and Okaidi, they are a part of this pilot project. So this is not for all brands. This is only for a few brands at the moment. And this project may be compulsory by the end of the year, of next year, 2022. We'll see. And this is for quite a lot of goods at Decathlon. They say it's about 2/3 of their ranges, so it's quite a lot of clothing, and it's based on a LCA calculation, life circle calculation. Sorry, I have the word in French. In English, doesn't come. Well, anyway, at H&M you have the IG index, but it's really on a few amounts of products. It's really a specific section. And as well, for two brands that we evaluated, it's Bonobo and Celio. It's brands for that are selling some jeans from Genealogia range. Genealogia range is a manufacturing machine that is finishing jeans in an ecological way, using less water than the traditional method. So they give you a product score for jeans, and it's green, yellow, or red. So this is quite interesting as well. Well, contribution and future works. So we produced a definition of product transparency, that is product traceability information disclosure related to a specific product. This is really what we claim. We claim that we need to have information attached to a specific product. And we produced a state of the industry for institutional, but more for product transparency. And we found that the fashion landscape is more and more committed. And we found some really interesting initiatives, and we look forward to see more opportunities and new projects that are happening. Like we can hear that there are a lot of things happening in sustainability in brands. So we are looking forward to see that. And on our contribution and future works as well, the company I'm working for, we just launched a project like 3 weeks ago in store. It's for a French group that is producing mainly shoes, that is called ERAM Group. And for two of their brands, the brand ERAM and the brand Bocage, when you go in store, you can see, this is a photograph from the store, on the little cards displayed. You can see there is a QR code, so you can try with your cell phone. You can scan this QR code, and you can have access to manufacturing information, to composition as well, because you can know maybe more than the traditional composition that is required. You can have more information in depth as well about the social and environmental commitments of the company. You can know as well if the product is good for your health. Well, if it has been controlled, if it has all the laboratory tests that it should have. And so this is quite new. We don't know exactly what is the consumer reaction. So we'll see. And so we are looking to see a further development with the brand, and to maybe have a second version, adding things maybe that can be interesting for consumer. This is really a work in progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pantxica. A very good presentation. Well, I think there are a lot of questions that should arise after this presentation, and well, the room we have to improve in all these kinds. At the same time, how many interesting initiatives there are now. So maybe I'm going to ask if there is any question among the participants or any other person who wants to put something in the chat, or maybe raise your hand and I don't know, here. Even for Songyi, before, if somebody has thought of any question that it was lost in their mind before. If not, if no one wants, maybe I would like to ask you, Pantxica, one question about one of the examples that you have put is Armani's change and Moncler. No? They have a lot of information after purchasing. Do you think they want to have an idea more interacting with their consumers in order to make them more loyal to their brands, or help them in order to take care of their products, or should they arrive before, to give the information before purchasing? Because if they want to educate, if they want to empower the consumers to do good choices, probably they should share this information before purchasing. have all information before. What do you think?
Well, I think that yes, in the future, in a really close future, we hope. Yes, the brands they should communicate of how to make a product last longer, how to repair, how to, yes, this is a full process. It's not about only traceability of manufacturing. It's really the traceability of the whole life of the product. Maybe after purchasing as well, if you sell it by second hand as well, you should communicate, and there should be some tools for that.
Okay, I know somebody, we have many more people now, they have joined. So if you want to address any question to Pantxica, to Songyi. So, well, if not, I would like to thank all of you, of course, Songyi, Pantxica, and all the rest of the authors that have not presented but are behind these good pieces of work. Well, I only want to thank your participation here in the conference, and at the same time to invite you to continue, because we have at this time we have a lot of parallel sessions, so maybe we can go to another one before 4 o'clock. We have at this moment we will have a break, so we can continue joining one of the other. Okay, we have here. Very good. We have a question. Can you see it, Pantxica, or do you want that I read it?
Sorry?
No, there is a question here in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, or well, I'm going to read it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm just reading.
I love the idea of having the whole story of the garment thanks to a code, including the future, maybe access to repair, amending videos, etc. Yes, Jana, very good contribution.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I think that it should be interesting, like to have some repair and mending videos, like for example for leather accessories. I heard from a shoe brand that they found that products are not lasting as long as they expected, because people, they don't know how to care about their products. So maybe if there was some tutorial of how to treat leather and such like that, and it could really help, and it would help as well to have a good idea of the brand, because the brand gets something positive out of that, like if products last for longer. So yeah, I think it's a really great project. Yes.
Good. I don't know, any other question? Well, because I think, well, probably with in the context of Europe, with the new European Green Deal, the new textile strategy for more sustainable textiles, I think there is going to happen a lot of things. So probably with the extended producer responsibility and many other things, we need to add a lot of practices to our system of labeling, to system of delivering information to our consumers. So, well, it's only a question of waiting. I think maybe some months until the European, the regulation of the new textile standards appear, are probably some more years.